What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Average Aaron's Auto Videos, although I may have to change the name to Random Aaron's Auto Videos, where we keep adding in more things. But today we're going to stick with something automotive, and so here we have a 2006 Jeep Grand Cherokee with a 5.7-liter V8. It is the Overland Edition. It does have this crazier strut tower support brace, but today we had an engine code pop up of P0248. 128. And so it can be one of two things. It can be the thermostat, which is the primary cause, and or it could be one of the sensors located with it. But today we're going to replace the thermostat, so we're going to do a video on this. All right, so first thing you need to do is take this cap off. This piece will come off, and then here you're going to want to loosen the hose clamp here for this one. There's one attached to the throttle body in there, which you'll see in just a minute. There's also a bolt back here and a connector to your mass airflow sensor, which once we kind of get this off, I'll show you what that looks like a little better because this angle is garbage. Let's see, I don't even know if I can see it in here. Yeah, oh, here it is, right here. Right there. So this is also attached to it, which I will show you guys once we get this off. All right, so as that's being loosened, you can see where the 10mm bolt was located right here. There's another hose clamp right in there that we're loosening. And then the sensor, yep, he's touching it right there. It's a little like a push one. There's not any crazy clips on this one, and I'll show you once we get it out. All right, so it connects right here, and this is the piece, and here's the little clip that you just kind of press down right here to get it off. And then also, as you note, it has to come straight forward because it has this little guiding pin right here. All right, the thermostat, here's the housing. Here's the hose that goes onto it and the clamp, so we'll use some pliers for this. These are 13mm. Now, we just drove it, so it's a little warm. But before we do any of this, what we're going to do is get a little clamp. So we got these plastic hose clamps that look like this. So we're going to put it on there, but we've also got a drip pan underneath, which will slide under there. And then also I'm going to put some cardboard just to catch the fluid just in case. So let's get that set up, and then we'll remove these clamps and bolts. All right, so even though you clamp the hose, once you remove with this grip here, once you remove this and scoot it back, you are going to lose whatever's in the line and a little bit in the housing there. So that will come off with it. So what we're going to probably do is disconnect the hose from the housing, or maybe the housing will come off first and we'll just turn the hose up and get it off, whichever one works for us. But let me show you what was lost so you get an idea for the volume. Ooh. Yep. And we got the thing in there and it didn't even catch. Yeah, you're going to want...
Good news is it's safe on the outside of the engine. It won't be a problem to burn off.
All right, so that's all dripping down there. That's fine, but you can see, good thing we had the extra cardboard to catch it, because even with the drip pan, it's still exceeding that. Man, that's wild how much that left. So yeah, definitely the more the merrier on this.
I'm gonna make the hose point up so it doesn't.
All right, so one thing I will note is we didn't let the engine cool down a whole lot, so there was still some that came out of the housing, like quite a substantial amount after I shut off the camera last, so I apologize I didn't catch that. But of note, I would let this cool down a lot because you don't know exactly where all that's going to go. And make sure you got plenty of stuff to catch all the fluids. Sorry about the rough cut. So went ahead and removed this. We had to edit because we had something interesting when we took the housing off, in that there was no thermostat. It was straight up empty. So we're going to soak up all this fluid, clean around it. Now, when you go to purchase a new thermostat, you can get it either inserted into the housing or separate. And so we've got the housing and the thermostat here. You can see that little hole that you want on the top when you insert it. So it'll insert in here like this once I get it all cleaned out. And then this gasket around here is sufficient to mesh with this, so you don't have to get an additional one as they sync up. Now, a little tip about the thermostats.
Yeah, so it's pretty hard with these older engines to find the exact OEM temperature. So they make these in like 160, 192, 195, 203. This originally OEM was 195. We don't have any of those within the whole state, so I got the 203 version. The key is just to make sure that whatever the upper spec range is on your thermostat, that it's within the motor's overall spec range. This 203 is going to be a little bit hotter, but it's well within the overall motor's tolerance range, so we're good to go.
So it'll work. And those are the part numbers you were given, correct?
Yeah, looking at the temperature.
Roger that. Yep. And up here in Alaska, sometimes there's slim pickings. So let's clean this out and get it installed. So even though we cleaned it out, and we told you it was missing a thermostat, but the ring was still in it because the ring matches the one that's on here. So that would have had a double gasket and the spacing would have been thrown off. We're going to verify this, but 99% sure if we set that new thermostat in there, let's go ahead and set it in there. We'll see how that ring nests nicely.
Yep, and keeping that at the top.
Yep, and keep that little
realign it.
peephole at the top. Or weephole, sorry.
Is it? I can't see it.
Yes, it is. Yep, so what he's saying is that little tiny hole right there, you want that on the top side.
Gravity.
It's a thing. All right, so we're going to line up our new housing. Put the 13 millimeter bolts in. Again, you don't want to cross thread these. And we'll put them on, I believe I've got a torque wrench sitting around here somewhere.
9 foot-pounds is OEM.
Yep. All right, to get this clamp back on, we're having to vice grip the vice grips to get this around the new housing. Now this is seated down a little farther than it was in the original, I believe, but that's okay because the hose, you know, over time it had warmed up to that one, and this is a new part, so it may just be just a little bit thicker, not as worn. So it may be a bit of a challenge to slide this piece back over the top. And if you end up breaking this clamp, please get a new one because you cannot drive without this clamp. So important part to have on there. All right, let's get this part on there. All right, it took about 3 or 4 minutes to get down there. Now, because the hose is on farther and the piece is tempered just a little bit, so it gets thicker as it gets to the base of it, which we can show you here. Yep. So we got it on there. So our marks don't line up exactly, but it was also backed off just a little bit because it's got enough space to do that. So we're good with where this is clamped on there. But make sure you feel metal on this side of that clamp because obviously no metal and none. And then we're going to see what happens when we release this. This should be a good test of our... And we did lose quite a bit of coolant, so we need to top that off also. And then for ease of work... we also disconnected this little line to the air box right here, just so it wasn't in our way. You can see how much easier that made things for us, and super easy to disconnect. All right, now we need to double check the tightness on this, and then we'll add some coolant. All right, so we put this to 9.5 foot-pounds, I believe it is. I'll put a text box over the top. And we want to alternate a little bit on one side, a little bit on that side. To ensure even sealing with the gasket. If you do too much on one side, you could offset the O-rings and push one out the other side. So we'll do a couple cranks on each side as we center this piece on. All right, guys, so we broke the head of the bolt off, which means there's nothing holding the flange down on that side. So that'll end this video. So I'm not sure quite how that happened, but this is an older car and sometimes bolts just break. So we're gonna have to go get that machined out and threaded back in. So if we were to continue the video, we would add the box on. You've got the 10 millimeter bolt to hold the air box back on, to put in there, and then you would connect it here and then put it on the throttle body right there, but then also don't forget to guide it on here. Then you'd take the engine oil filler cap off, put the engine cover back on, and then you'll sink it down on this peg here and that peg back there, and then tighten it in, and we'll be good to go. But because we broke a bolt, that's going to pause this video, and we got to go get that fixed because I do not have the tools to do that. But we'll solve it. All right, thanks, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and sorry we couldn't finish it. But we do hope it was helpful. And if you're curious what about 9.5 foot-pounds is, I think it is just pretty hand tight, pretty strong grip, because when you combine two different metals, one of them is stronger, and so one of them will give. And in this case, the bolt just gave. So hope this was helpful, and you guys get a more successful exchange of parts than we did. But we'll see you guys next time. All right, guys, so this is the tack on to the end, because when we use the torque wrench, it only went down to 20, so we clipped it down farther, but I think it was still too strong with as long as it was. So I'm going to go with hand tight, but if you have a smaller one that can actually accurately measure 9.5 foot-pounds of torque, I would use that. But if it feels like it's too much, it probably is, and the bolts will snap. So we actually had to drill out the bolts. We had to call in a friend to do that. It took a hot minute. Hopefully you didn't have that, but now that we have the thermostat back in, we will finish this video and keep going. All right, guys, so we got the housing back on, the clamp back on, and remember this piece is like tempered a little bit. There's a wider part, and so because the previous one, this hose wasn't down as far, we pushed it down really far. That's why our clamp marks don't line up, but we do have solid metal right here, and you can see I can squish right here. So this hose is clamped on there super tight. I'll just show you. Also, the bolt that we had to replace because we sheared them off, it does stick out the back a tiny bit, but that's okay because it's what they say online to use. So I don't know if the previous owner or one of the previous owners had it, but this is what we ended up putting in there to replace the bolts that were broken, and it's holding. So now we need to remember to connect this little air line here.
I'll do that last. I'm gonna put this back on. Oh
yeah, we got to put, we also took off to drill those out. We took off the airbox connector, so let's put that back on. All right, so we got the connector back on for the box. We'll plug this guy back in. We still need to plug in, don't forget to plug in the mass airflow sensor, and then there's the 10mm bolt on the back side of this. So let's plug in the MAF, which is right down here where my finger is. It'll plug in right there. All right, so we got the MAF airflow sensor plugged in, and we are good to go. Now make sure you top off your coolant and do a test run, let it warm up. And if you need a device to clear the engine code, if you had P0128 like we did, you'll be good to go. But hopefully this video was helpful. Please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.